For us here in Montreal and Quebec, this is very much an exceptional event to have three institutions, very prominent institutions, work together to hold this conference on climate change and on a very specific issue of how we as human beings and as citizens of the world will go on to propose concrete actions to deal with post-Kyoto. And what we need to do to face this challenge of ours is in itself an accomplishment.
C'est d'autre part un défi global, car l'enjeu climatique est un problème planétaire dont la solution réside dans les comportements individuels, dans l'administration de chaque territoire local, dans la législation de chaque pays et dans l'engagement bien sûr de l'ensemble de la communauté internationale dans cette perspective.
Climate change is actually a universal problem, both in the sense that it will require action on a global basis and in the sense that all sectors, private and public, environmental leaders and policymakers, must collaborate to arrive at an effective and a lasting solution.
Dealing with climate change is something we still cannot afford to put on ice. We cannot afford to take a middle road when we know that, on the one hand, the negative consequences are much more than the potential savings of not tackling the problem on the other hand.
If there's a place on this planet that will be affected very rapidly by climate change, we are it. You are here. Of all the places in the world, this country will be affected very rapidly. But if we, as a developed country, want other countries to act on this issue, and I'm thinking, I don't want to name them, but I'm going to name the United States of America in particular, who happen to be our neighbors and our friends and very good allies with whom we have an extraordinary relationship. But if we want to convince them, to persuade them and others to do what is right on this issue, we have to lead by example. There is no other choice. The world will not be able to deal with the issue of climate change if there is not a full commitment of the American people to deal with this issue. The United States is the most powerful economy in the world. They have the know-how, they have the resources and the financial means, and the world needs the American people to be very involved and committed to dealing with the issue of climate change if we're going to address it.
But the truth is that the technology necessary to slow and even reverse greenhouse gas buildup in the atmosphere is either readily available today or could be developed within a decade at reasonable cost.
The good news is that we can make significant inroads through the technology that we have today. The challenge comes in driving that widespread adoption of these technologies.
We believe technological innovation in the not-too-distant future will allow a significant penetration for electric transportation with plug-in hybrids. Studies for the U.S. market, for example, suggest a potential saving of 450 million tons of greenhouse emissions by 2050 with plug-in hybrids, the equivalent of taking 82.5 million cars off the road in the U.S.
This energy policy of ours, which is very much part of the reduction of greenhouse gases, also goes into areas of alternatives, such as cellulosic ethanol, using wood products, or urban waste. And these are areas that we're also pushing ahead with a great deal of confidence that the technology will be there.
We are seeing such innovation around the world. The development and rapid deployment of wind turbines, new developments in solar power, work on tidal and wave power, the nuclear renaissance, and the development of improved reactor technologies, pilot projects on carbon capture and storage, research on battery technology and hydrogen power, more energy-efficient motors, jet engines, locomotives, automobiles, aggressive energy efficiency, and conservation programs.
I'm convinced that the advanced home of the future will be much more energy efficient and will have a plug-in vehicle connected at night, in the same way we plug our cells and our computers. Les changements climatiques sont un très grand défi, Mais l'avenir s'annonce prometteur si on réussit, comme il se doit, le développement étendu des énergies renouvelables dans un monde énergétique plus efficace et en tournant, dans une large mesure, la page du pétrole dans nos transports terrestres.
Parmi les principales contributions aux émissions de gaz à effet de serre, les 4 premières sont celles des bâtiments, des transports, de la production d'électricité et de l'industrie. L'effort principal doit aujourd'hui porter sur le bâtiment et sur le transport qui ont la caractéristique commune d'engendrer des productions diffuses et de concentrer celles-ci principalement dans les villes.
We can reduce greenhouse gas emissions while strengthening our economy. It isn't a cost, it's an opportunity.
Businesses cannot do it alone. The responsibility to combat climate change falls to all of us, and not just governments and NGOs. It's all of us as citizens. It's about acting positively with certainty and immediacy.
And as we look beyond Kyoto in 2012, one of the key issues we need to address is North-South. And how do we allow developing countries from the South and the emerging economies to deal with these issues? How do we, as developed countries, work so that we can change this carbon economy to a non-carbon economy? How do we get there? And I think the time to start preparing for that discussion, that we have to start having that discussion now, and that it should focus and it should happen within all North-South forums that we know of in the world.
Cette vision d'avance, il faut la construire autour de quelques idées forces. La première de ces idées, c'est d'anticiper les contraintes et les opportunités futures. C'est le rôle de l'Institut Veolia, c'est aussi le rôle de notre réunion d'aujourd'hui. L'un des moyens de se préparer, c'est d'apprendre à connaître et à mesurer les réalités techniques. Depuis plusieurs années, en partenariat avec nos clients, nous nous efforçons ainsi de développer des méthodologies précises qui nous permettent de mesurer l'impact du développement des systèmes collectifs de transport urbain, par exemple, sur les émissions de gaz carbonique d'une agglomération.
Emissions trading, if well designed, is one of the most cost-efficient tools that I know to achieve this goal. It allows businesses to make or buy reductions based on market price discovery related to the marginal cost of CO2 reduction, resulting in the most efficient capital allocation, therefore the most rapid progress in reducing greenhouse gases.
We're living in a very exciting time. It's a time when public opinion, political will, business interests, and practical technological solutions are actually converging. It's vital that we keep the momentum.
La remise en cause de la collecte des déchets en pied d'immeuble, leur tri sélectif, la généralisation du comptage thermique individuel, l'optimisation de l'éclairage urbain, les économies d'eau, la création de parkings à coût bas dans la périphérie des villes pour inciter à l'usage des transports collectifs engendrent des économies très considérables de CO2, mais appellent nos concitoyens à des comportements nouveaux.
But we all know the dynamics of a tipping point, and those are that once you pass the tipping point and the paradigm does shift, it will likely support dramatic changes in political behavior and have dramatic and long-reaching impacts.
We know enough today to act on climate change, and there's no reason to delay action. In fact, the longer we wait, the harder it will be to adjust economically, environmentally, and socially to control emissions. So the essential elements to succeed, I think, are somewhat clear. We have to continually invest in and innovate and drive the adoption of clean technology. Do so here in order to drive it globally. Second, we have to establish market-based solutions. They will drive technology solutions to achieve the greatest emission reduction at the lowest cost. And third, we have to find the win for the owner and the shareholder, for the customer and the environment. Green can be green.
Le changement climatique constitue pour notre monde un défi majeur, global et complexe, ce qui vient d'être rappelé ici de façon extrêmement pertinente.